I'm pregnant, and my mother-in-law just told me the wildest thing I've ever heard. Are you guys ready for this? If I don't have a boy, she doesn't want to have anything to do with the baby. So I tell her this. Hello, everyone. I'm Tessa. I'm married to Jacob, and we're expecting our first child together. We've been married for, the last 5 years, and currently I'm 8 months pregnant. We met at the airport, and I was disappointed when I did not get his number, and as fate would have it, we were on the same flight. Sitting next to each other, of course, and we both acknowledged that it was a sign from the universe to exchange numbers. That's how our love story began. We went on dates, and it didn't take us long to move in together. While living together, we realized that we were great. We rarely fought, and one of us was always up for making adjustments. Neither of us was fond of, confrontation, especially not with each other. When Jacob realized that we were perfect together, he did not take long to propose. He said that we were meant to be, and he could feel it in his soul. I felt the same way, so we eloped during the first year of our relationship. Our married life was almost perfect. We initially discussed having pets before children, but soon realized that we both wanted many children. It would only waste time if we delayed it. I'd always yearned to be a mom, and Jacob's dad has been his role model growing up, and he wanted to be that for his own kids. However, it was difficult for us to get pregnant, which was highly disappointing. It took many doctor appointments to get us where we were today. We had to go through numerous disappointments with false alarms and miscarriages. When we got past the first trimester without any mishaps this time, we were happier than we've ever been. I claimed that I was even happier than the day I married Jacob, to which he laughed. We decided to tell the rest of the family and friends about it when I started the show. My parents, being the first ones we told, were over the moon. Beginning to buy things for the baby in advance, we had decided not to check for the sex of the baby until birth, as we wanted to be surprised. So, my parents bought gender-neutral items for the baby, and I revealed to them, and only them, so they could plan efficiently for the baby that we were having twins. I did not share the news about the twins with anyone else, hoping to surprise everyone later. On the other hand, Jacob's mom, Reese, never liked me. She thought I was too mellow for her, exuberant son. She had joked about Jacob leaving me in front of the family multiple times. When nobody agreed with her, she would pass these comments off as a joke. I disliked her and wasn't really particularly excited to tell her the news. Especially because during the years we've been trying, she would taunt me for not providing her perfect son with a son of his own. Why haven't you had a baby yet? The clock is ticking. I can't wait much longer for a grandson. These were only some of her harsh and sexist comments towards me. She was well aware of our struggles with infertility, yet she did not think that these comments were harsh. I usually did not go to her house, letting Jacob go alone so I would not have to deal with her toxicity. However, we shared the news with her during Jacob's birthday celebration with some of our family and friends. Reese was upset that we had not told her sooner, but, considering her insensitivity towards me and my struggles, I feared she would only taunt me, instead of offering comfort, if I had another miscarriage like before. Jacob covered for me, though. He stayed by my side throughout the celebration, and whenever his mother got too close for me to overhear her throwing a tantrum, he would send me off with a family member or friend while he dealt with their drama. Everyone was excited about the pregnancy and gave us their blessings, except for Reese, who was too busy being upset that we had not told her sooner. Given her consistent unhappiness with anything involving me, we chose to ignore her entirely. As the party concluded and people were leaving, Reese stayed behind, and before Jacob could suggest I go upstairs to the bedroom and rest, Reese confronted us, demanding to know why we had not informed her about the pregnancy. I didn't lie to her, explaining that I did not want her to be insensitive that there's, a chance this pregnancy could result in a miscarriage. She clutched her chest and gasped, claiming she would never do that. I reminded her, you've done it before, and it hurt me so much that we had not informed her about subsequent pregnancies that ended in miscarriage after the first one. She dismissed it as a joke, saying I'm being way too sensitive. Rolling my eyes, I left Jacob to deal with his own mother. The rest of the pregnancy went smooth as long as we stayed away from Reese. Jacob, being a very considerate person, took great care of me. He rubbed my feet when they grew swollen and, helped with my morning sickness and bore the brunt of my mood swings. Yeah, without saying a word. I'm sure I'll remember many more things that he did for me without a thanks in return when these babies are finally out and I can think straight. However, yesterday we celebrated a marriage in our family. Jacob's cousin was getting married and everybody was invited. I was about to encounter Reese again after months of deliberately avoiding her. I intentionally wore a light blue dress as she had once commented that the color washed me out after she overheard my husband tell me how beautiful I looked in it. Jacob had arranged with his cousin in advance to seat us away from his mother at the dining table, but Reese swapped her seat with someone to be closer to us, and her first comment to me was about my size. I barely resisted the urge to roll my eyes as I reminded her, I'm 8 months pregnant. She clarified, saying she meant my face had grown big and fat. Then she went ahead and advised me to lose all the weight immediately after giving birth if I wanted her son to remain interested in me. Jacob felt more offended by that than I did, and told his mother not to speak on his behalf. We tried to ignore her for the rest of dinner, focusing on a few relatives around us. They complimented me on how radiant I looked, with my mother-in-law interjecting that I appeared a little dull. More dull than before. She claimed it must be because I'm having a daughter, as daughters supposedly steal their mother's beauty, while boys allegedly make their mothers even more beautiful in the womb. Then she began reminiscing about how beautiful she had been while carrying Jacob. She was drinking without regard, making Jacob and me a bit concerned. She enjoyed drama while sober, so who knew how much more difficult she would be to deal with if she got sloshed, and I was around as her punching bag. She continued to offer me unsolicited advice on how to lose weight after giving birth, to which I did not even bother pretending to pay attention. She also stated that she would be the first one there to meet her grandson, and anything else simply would not work. I didn't have the energy to inform her that we weren't planning on letting anyone into our house until at least 6 weeks after birth. By the time the dancing started, Reese was drunk, and Jacob wanted to stay away from her. As we were leaving for the dance floor to have a bit of fun, she commented that I better not be having a daughter. She said that if it was a son, I, should not bother showing up if it's not, or she would kick me out of the house. She laughed at her own joke as the relatives around us squirmed in discomfort. Jacob had enough of her entitlement and told her to splash water on her face and stop embarrassing herself in front of everyone. She blinked and, looked at him innocently, but I pulled him to the dance floor and Jacob was fuming as I was forcing him to sway with me on the dance floor. He said that his mother had no excuse for saying that, and I agreed, but told him not to let her get on his nerves, and I just tried to reassure him that his mother's comments have stopped mattering to me a long time ago. However, that only seemed to fuel his anger, and he was concerned that his children would see their grandmother make such insensitive comments and be negatively affected. I reminded him that we can always move away from his mother if she became too much. On our way home, he seemed deep in thought, so I left him alone, but as he parked, he stopped me from opening the door to exit. I looked back at him, and he didn't look away from the windshield as he asked if I would like to move away without waiting for Reese to be toxic to the babies. He told me that he's had enough of Reese's behavior towards me, and, it's been 5 years, and you would have thought that she would have accepted that I made Jacob happy, but no, she didn't. Jacob told me that he's gotten a job opportunity in another state, and, we can move on before the baby arrives. This way, we would not have to deal with her overstepping our boundaries. I agreed to it immediately, and my own office had a branch there. I'll ask around, but I think we can do it. His face split into a huge smile as we decided to take such a huge step in our life, sitting outside our house in our car. We were smiling, we were giggling, making plans as we walked into our house. I can't wait to start our life away from Reese and her toxicity. It would be great for the baby's health, and it would also just, make Reese so angry. Update number 1. Hello, everybody. So, it's Tessa again. Sooner I should have expected to be here, though. It's only been 3 weeks since we've decided to move away, so my mother-in-law could not negatively affect my babies. We were hoping to have the babies away, but they had different plans. My water, it broke early in the morning yesterday, and I was asleep, and it was Jacob who realized that the babies were coming as he returned from the bathroom in the middle of the night. He gently woke me up, even though his panic was evident in his face. We were in the midst of packing up our whole house, and we were not really ready for the babies yet. We had emergency bags ready and had not packed anything for the babies just in case, but the house was half empty. We had sent our sofas to the new house just the day before, and I reassured him that we could always live with my parents just for a few days until the doctor gave me the green light to make the trip to another state. He didn't look very convinced, but he was putting on a brave face for me. He rushed me to the hospital, half hyperventilating himself, which was kind of funny to me while I wasn't having contractions. I won't get into the nitty-gritty details of the birth, but no, there were no complications, as I gave birth to my baby boy and a baby girl. Jacob held my hand throughout, not complaining when I cried, and even let me use his shirt as a tissue for my tears and snot. The babies are perfect. Jacob says that they look like me, but I know he's only saying that because they actually look like him. We received numerous calls congratulating us on the baby. I'd say the most difficult call, though, was from Reese. Reese wanted to come over, but Jacob, in no uncertain terms, told her not to bother. I wanted privacy, and we were still just bonding with the babies, and I could hear her screaming at Jacob through the phone and asking him to give the phone to me. I was in full mama mode, and anything in my way to my children was my mortal enemy at the moment. I told Reese to stop screaming. I wasn't in the mood to scream like her, but threatened that I would do much more if she tested me. I explained that I'm far too tired and in no condition to deal with guests. She told me that she's not a guest, she's family. I told her that she had not treated me like family even once since I've married her son, and so she could drop the family act right here and there. She angrily told me that no one could keep her away from her grandson. It fueled my anger so much that it spiked my blood pressure. How dare she not acknowledge my baby girl? I told her that nothing could keep me away from showing exactly where she belonged if she tested me. I reminded her that I might just have given birth, but if anybody tried to interfere with my bonding time with the babies, I'd make sure their time on this earth would be very, very limited. Then I didn't wait for her response and dropped the call with an eye roll. Jacob just stood there, blinking slowly as his eyes started to look at me in awe. It was quite funny, and, guys, he slow clapped for me. He told me to remind him never to cross me when I'm around the kids. I guess we were, postponing our shift by a week or two. We will have to move in with my parents, though, because everything in our house has been packed and was slowly being transferred to the new home. My parents are well aware of how much I don't want any kind of interruptions, and have promised not to give in our way at all after they get a hold of their grandbabies just once. I'll be discharged in a day or two and can't wait to dress my babies. All that adorable clothing I've bought for them. Update number 2. Hello everyone, it's Tessa again. Something happened today, and it's been 5 days since I've given birth to the twins, and I'm resting in my parents' house. We had denied Reese from coming over to see the twins because we wanted privacy and a time to bond with the babies, which highly annoyed her. My parents have been giving us space while Jacob packed up the last of our stuff. We've lived in the house for the last 5 years, and we wanted to say goodbye to the house before giving it up for sale. So I left the babies with my mother, who was overjoyed at having the babies with her for a few hours. Jacob drove me to our house and let me cry on him as we reminisced about our happiness and sad times in this house. We were kind of sad that the babies would not grow up here, but we had an even bigger house waiting for us, with a huge backyard where they could play as they grew up. We bid farewell to the house that's been our home for as long as we made our way to the car. It was then that we unexpectedly encountered Reese. Immediately, she enveloped her son in a tight hug. expressing her pride as if, he were the only one who had given birth to the twins himself. I had to suppress the urge to roll my eyes at her behavior. She asked where her grandbaby was. Jacob was confused and told her that she has, grandbabies, not a grandbaby. Reese feigned confusion and recited her mistake. Before Jacob could say anything, I interrupted. I stated that I told her to stay away from us when we were bonding with the babies, and I questioned why she was even here. She insisted that she, had given us a few days and now it's her turn to spoil her grandson. Angry, I retorted that we also have a baby girl. She then clarified that she meant to spoil her grandchildren, struggling a bit to fully accept the reality of us having twins, until she laid eyes on them herself. I told her I was not comfortable with her meeting the twins yet, and that they were busy and she needs to leave. Definitely, she argued, and she was already here and might as well see her grandson. I countered by pointing out that we were moving out, and since the house was now empty, she wasn't here to see her grandchildren after all. She was shocked at the reveal as we had not told her about it. Jacob explained that he had secured a new job and I was transferring to another branch in the office. Although we planned these changes before the baby came, their early arrival caught us off guard. She asked him why he had not told her about it, and he told her that she's been horrible to me, and he didn't want her bringing more negativity to me than she already did. Reese began to cry, but Jacob saw right through her act and he quickly ushered me into the passenger side of the vehicle. All the while, his mother screamed in the background about being kept away from her grandson. Just before he got into the driver's seat, he shouted that she also has a granddaughter, emphasizing that her ignorant behavior was the reason why we were leaving in the first place. We drove back to my parents' house and will be making the new move to our home in just a few more days. My parents have been keeping me company at night when the baby's awake, allowing Jacob to rest for, the upcoming long trip without getting tired behind the wheel. Update number 3. Hello everyone, it's Tessa again. We made our road trip yesterday, 5 days after we had confronted Reese. The new house is perfect with the babies, and my parents wanted us to stay with them longer, but Jacob and I were eager to get our life started, and he also had to work at the office. However, before we could leave my parents' house, Reese showed up. I was changing the babies when the doorbell rang. I had the bedroom door propped open so I could hear what she was saying, just down the stairs. I grew still as I heard Reese's voice. She was yelling at my parents for keeping her away from her grandson. My mother, on the other hand, was not having any of it, and screamed right back at her for her ignorant behavior. My dad emerged from his own room, so I told him to change my baby girl into her new dress as I made my way downstairs. Jacob following me straight out of the shower. Reese's expression turned angry as she saw me, and I told her she was interrupting our plans and that she should leave. She screamed at us, accusing us of lying, and calmly I explained that we have not lied. We were indeed moving out. We were only there because the babies were early and our things were already packed at our house. I also clarified, that I wasn't letting either of my parents get in our way of bonding with the kids either. She retorted that she could not even see her own grandson for a few minutes, and I screamed at her because she, the way she disregards my daughter is one of the main reasons she isn't even allowed to see them from far away. She was not only being sexist, but also overstepping her boundaries. I told her to leave right away, or we will call the police. I clarified that with her behavior, I would never let her meet my babies. She was a toxic old woman who did not deserve to be called a grandma if she didn't even acknowledge the birth of her granddaughter. She looked at Jacob for support and he told her to leave at once. Jacob told her plain and clear that she needs to stay away from us, and she had, proved that she was a bad grandmother by not even acknowledging one of her grandchildren just because of the gender, and she did not deserve to be called a grandmother at all. Reese claimed that she had only wanted a grandson, arguing that she wasn't at fault now, that she had a granddaughter as well. Jacob screamed at her that she could not just pick and choose to love one grandchild over the other just because of their gender. Jacob was getting frustrated with his mother's embarrassing behavior at this point, so I pushed her out of the house and closed the door in her face. She kept ringing the doorbell over and over, scaring the heck out of our babies. Jacob turned the doorbell off and left his mother screaming, crying, and making a scene just outside my front door. I'm never letting this woman next to my babies ever again. Update number 4. Hello everyone, it's Tessa again. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to fill you guys in on what's been going on. We named our babies Tristan and Daisy the day we moved into our new house. The arrival of the babies made the house even homier and perfect, and they love just laying outside in the backyard while looking at the sky. In a single word, they've been perfect. Jacob started his new job and was excelling there. However, my paid maternity leave was ending, and I was growing anxious about returning to work and leaving my kids behind. Jacob suggested that I stop working for a year if it made me so anxious. However, I did not want to give up on my job entirely. One night, he asked if I would like to move to another country where my paid maternity leave will be longer. He knew that my office had another branch in that country, and he said that he could find another job there while I stayed with the kids for a longer period of time. I loved this idea, and we thought about it for a few more days. I discussed the possibility of transferring with my boss, and she agreed to put in a good word for me. I got permission to transfer, and we decided that it was fate. We moved to London. We had started to get passports for the babies the moment we began discussing the possibility just in case. It's been a week since we've been living here in London, and we've been captivated by its breathtaking beauty. Jacob has been looking for jobs with a few interviews coming up soon, and my parents were shocked at our move but helped us with our shift anyways. Today, however, I get a call on my previous number from Reese. She sounded frustrated. She said that she was at their new house, but there was, well, a couple squatting on our property. I just went to laugh in her face and told her that we left. They weren't squatters, and they own the house now. She was horrified that we were just selling our house to people, anyone these days. She told me to tell our new address so she could come to see her grandbaby. I didn't even get mad at that. I'd given up a long time ago, and I calmly told her that we're in London, so that we would be as far away from her as possible. She was horrified when I told her that we were starting a new life far from her and her toxicity, and that she should just lose the number as I dropped the call. She kept calling me after that, though, but I just turned the phone off since I, had a new phone with a new number and moved on with my day, cleaning up all the toys scattered around the room as the babies took a nap. Jacob and I made sure that Reese can never interfere with Tristan and Daisy. Daisy doesn't deserve to have a deal, with the grandmother who still insists on not acknowledging her. Now we can live our lives the way we want, away from such toxicity. Update number 5. Hello everyone, it's Tessa again, and guys, it's been about, 4 months since I last talked to you guys. The twins are now officially 6 months of age, and I thought I would catch you up on everything that we've been doing. The twins sit on their own, and we're considering starting to give them solid food. They are always trying to take the food we're eating, and they're clearly eager. Jacob and I are going to start feeding them with, solid food very soon. They've also been kicking a lot, and their laughter is infectious. Daisy is a mama's girl through and through, while Tristan loves cuddling with his dad. Jacob found a job just after the last update, and he loves working there. It helps that his new job office is 5 minutes from the house. It's very convenient for him to travel to work and get back if there's an emergency, and we feel comfortable. My parents visit us last week. Now that the babies were a bit older, they spoiled them all through their visit, taking them out on their own even and buying gifts. They let me rest for a whole week, and I was grateful for the help. Jacob was sad that his mother had clearly not changed, and she's been crying to every possible relative in his family about not being allowed to meet her grandson. Many family members gave us their sympathies and, having to deal with a woman like that, and we were glad that we moved away from her. Jacob's trying to be a great father to his kids, just like his father had been. He spends a lot of time taking care of the babies on the weekend so I can have time to sleep or run errands without the babies. He has been perfect with them. Anyways, that's it, I think.
We're living our best life away from my mother-in-law Reese, and she's been bringing us down without us even realizing it. The constant worry of running into her at events and family gatherings was making us anxious without even our knowledge of it. Now that worry is gone.
So some of the commenters were not really saying what I thought they were going to say. Some of the people were actually mad at OP and her significant other because they said that Reese deserves to be inside of her grandbaby and granddaughter's life. I don't really agree with that, and here's why. Simply because Reese was so narcissistic, so toxic, and just horrible for the mental space of everyone involved throughout the whole story. And the weirdest part was, all she talked about was her grandson. She's just completely ignoring the fact that she has a granddaughter now too. I don't know, I thought the dynamic was just so off. But let me know what you guys think about some of those commenters saying that OP was in the wrong. I would love to hear your thoughts about that. Drop them down below. Thank you for joining me today. My name's Mr. Reddito, and yes, I do this every day. So if you guys love these sort of stories, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.